Do you think that human therapists could be replaced by AI chatbots? That's what we'll discuss in this advanced C1 news article so you can add 58 new words and phrases to your vocabulary using correct grammar and correct pronunciation. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Our headline: chatbots are replacing therapists faster than anyone expected. Let's look at this classic comparative phrase here, faster than. You may know that there are two ways to form the comparative. You can add ER to the adjective, or you can use more plus adjective. So let's use two examples. Prices are rising faster than anyone expected. Or you could also say predicted. So here our verb is to rise, and it's in the present continuous because it's taking place now. It doesn't have to be. You could say prices rose and see it as a completed action. However, in this case, it's in the present continuous, means this is taking place now. So fast is a short word, and you generally add ER to one syllable or short words. Now let's take expensive, which is three syllables. You generally use more plus adjective. So I could say the hotel, because instead of prices, which is general, I would use something specific, such as the hotel is more expensive than I expected. So this than I expected or than anyone, this is general. It includes all people, and you have your expectation and then you have reality. And this is used to show they're different. Notice here I used expected or predicted. They're similar but not exactly the same. The noun form is an expectation. This is the adjective form, expected. So as the word, it means based on feeling or belief. So I expected I would do better. So it's based on more of my feeling or my belief, maybe based on past experience. A prediction, so here predicted is the ED form, the noun is a prediction. This is more based on data or analysis. So I could say, I studied all the hotel prices in the area, and this is more expensive than I predicted. So I looked at the data or analysis. Coming back to our comparative phrase, maybe you're thinking right now, learning English with the news, what you're doing right now is helping me improve my English faster than I expected. You could also use than I predicted if you want to make it sound like it's more based on analysis or data, but I used expected because it's more based on a feeling, belief, and your life experience. Now, you could add on, and it's more fun too. So it's more fun than I expected. I put a star here because you may realize that fun is a short word. It's a one-syllable adjective. So this is an exception to the rule. We don't say funner, although you will hear native speakers say that. It's more fun. So this is an exception to the general guideline on versus more adjective. And do you agree with that? Learning English with the news is a fast and fun way to improve your English. If you do, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. And don't worry about taking notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's continue with the article. While we're not short on divisive topics in 2025, there are valid reasons as to why we're turning to chatbots for emotional support. Let's stop here because there are already some phrases I want to teach you. While we're not short on divisive topics, do you know what a divisive topic is? Well, this comes from the word divide. So it's a topic that divides people. So it's controversial or it's a heated topic. People have strong beliefs about it. That would be a divisive topic. Now let's look at the expression to be short on something. In this case, the something is divisive topics, topics that divide people. Now, if you're short on something, it means you have a limited amount or not enough of something. But notice here, this is in the negative. So it's saying we're not limited in the number of topics that divide people. This expression is used in everyday speech in both a casual and professional context. So someone might call you and you say, "Can I call you later? I'm short on time." So you're letting them know you're not able to talk right now because you don't have enough time. Your time is limited. So it's very common to be short on time, money, ideas, patience, many intangible things, and then tangible things as well. While we're not short on divisive topics in 2025, there are valid reasons as to why we're turning to chatbots for emotional support. Let's talk about this: to turn to someone or something. To turn to means you go to someone or something, in this case a chatbot, for help, advice, or support. For example, she turned to her team for support because she was short on time. So she didn't have enough time, she felt overwhelmed, so she relied on her team. She went to her team and said, "I need your help. I need your support. Can you help me? Can you help me complete this project?" She turned to her team. You don't have to include this for support. If you just say she turned to her team because she was short on time, it would be implied that she was going to her team for either support, help, or advice. So if you want to be specific, you can, but you don't even need to include it. So here they were specific. Notice the preposition is for something. So for support. And then what type of support? There could be financial support, but in this case, it's emotional support. So support for your emotional well-being. And why people are also very much against it. So against what? Against turning to chatbots or replacing therapists with chatbots. So notice you can be against something. You're for something, which means you support it, or you're against something, which means you oppose it. Against is a preposition. So if you had the noun form, you would need the gerund verb. Against replacing therapists with chatbots. Now, if you use opposed, which has the same meaning, and you specified the subject, you also have to use to, which is a preposition, so you would still need the ing form. People are also very much opposed to replacing therapists with chatbots, but both of these can be replaced with it because a gerund phrase is conjugated as it. So opposed to it, against it. Now remember, to be against something, you need your verb to be, which is here. The opposite is to be for something, the preposition for. So you need your verb to be because it's to be for something. Some people are for it, for replacing therapists. Now, if you use the word support, you would just say some people support it. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. The next part of the article is a question. So how willing are you to embrace this new form of therapy? And of course, the new form of therapy is using chatbots instead of a human therapist. And embrace, this sounds like you will accept it and you will willingly accept it. You will enthusiastically accept it. So that would be embrace. Now, in a reply to this how willing, in the highest, you can say, I'm highly willing or very willing. You could also use extremely. Now, you could end it at willing, or you could add on to try this. If you're more in the middle, more neutral, you can say, I'm somewhat willing to try this. Now, if you're at the lowest end, you're opposed to it, to make it negative, you would say, I'm not at all willing to try this. This sounds the most negative. If you just said, I'm not willing to try this, this sounds less negative than not at all. So adding those two words intensifies your unwillingness. You could also say, I'm unwilling. You can make willing negative and say, I'm unwilling to try this. Let's continue. With the technology developing and evolving faster than the academic community can study and publish evidence-based studies on it, there's nonetheless a growing body of expert commentary surrounding AI large language models. LLM is the common abbreviation, and their ability or lack thereof. So they're talking about the technology of chatbots. Now here, notice that comparative again, faster than something else. Now you could say quicker. Rapid is a common adjective as well. And even though this is a short 2-syllable adjective, it uses more. So I put an asterisk here because you can also think of it as an exception to the guideline of short adjectives use er. But this one is more rapid than the academic community can study and publish evidence-based studies on it, the it being the technology, the development of the technology. Now there's nonetheless. Nonetheless is there because it introduces a contrast or exception. So it lets you know that the next point is going to be a contrast to what was just said. You're familiar with other connectors, I'm sure, like although, however, but is a more casual one. Nonetheless is a more academic or formal connector. You can say, I'm short on time. I can help you nonetheless. Or you could say, I'm short on time, but I can help you. That's a more casual, everyday way of saying it. Although I'm short on time, I can help you. This sounds a little more formal than but it still sounds casual and conversational. Nonetheless, does sound quite formal. There's nonetheless a growing body of expert commentary surrounding AI large language models. So the commentary represents things that people are saying. So it could be they're going on podcasts or the news and verbally saying that large language models can be beneficial for therapy. They're writing it in academic journals and articles. So commentary can be both verbal or written. Let's look at this part and their ability. So the ability of chatbots or lack thereof. Ooh, do you know what this means? This is a great expression to know. It's commonly used in more formal sounding speech, but it is used in everyday conversations as well. Or lack thereof means the thereof represents the lack of whatever was just mentioned. So in this case, what was just mentioned was the ability of LLMs, large language models. So it's saying their ability or lack of ability. And then you can just replace that with lack thereof. Here's an example of how we would use this expression in everyday speech. In a meeting, someone might say, we need to discuss the project timeline or lack thereof. So they state it as a positive, discuss the project timeline, but then they add on or lack thereof to say, because we don't have a project timeline. We need to discuss the fact that there isn't a project timeline. So it's often added after to say that there's an absence or lack of this. Now let's review this part. Their ability, so the chatbot's ability or lack of ability, lack thereof, in replacing real human trained psychologists. Much like the broad reasons people use chatbots, so broad means there are many different reasons that people use chatbots. Instead of broad, you could say diverse to mean there are many different reasons, or you could say wide-ranging. Much like the broad reasons people use chatbots, employing them as a digital therapist is also multifaceted. Multifaceted in this context is more of a replacement to broad in the sense that there are many different reasons, but it can also mean many different features or components. So if you describe a chatbot as multifaceted, it sounds like it can do many different things. There are many different features, many different components. So it's another way of saying complex. Now notice here, they're using the verb to employ in the ing form, employing them, so chatbots. In this case, employ means use, but it's not interchangeable for the verb use. I wouldn't say I employ my toothbrush every morning. I would just say I use my toothbrush. So employ means to use something for a specific purpose. So again, I wouldn't say I'm employing my pen, but I might say I employed my pen to build a tent. First thing I thought of. So I used it for a specific purpose in a very strategic way. So that's when you would replace the simple verb use with employ, to use for a specific purpose, often in a strategic way. Let's continue. In-person therapy is prohibitive. Prohibitive. So this comes from the verb to prohibit. As an adjective, it means that it prevents people, and it's usually because of cost. It could be because of the effort involved. It could also be because of the location. So learning English with a native English speaker may be prohibitive in your country or your town because you don't have access to one. So it could be because of location. Now, in-person therapy is prohibitive. Now they're telling you the reason why. Often to the segments of society that need it most. So the segments of society, this is just another way of saying there are certain groups or categories of people within society. A session costs between $100 and $300 US. So notice you say 100 and then after you verbalize the money sign as dollars. And the dollars has an S on it if it's more than one, not 100, just $1, $2. So everything after $2 has that S on it when you verbalize the money sign. And this is why it's prohibitive. So you can say in-person therapy is prohibitive because of the high cost. Because of the high cost. So that's the reason why. And there's an and here. So we know they're providing an additional reason as to why it's prohibitive. And wait times. So the wait times refers to the time you have to wait for an appointment. Wait times to even see someone, so for an appointment, and hope they're a good fit can be months. Something that's worsened following the pandemic. Okay, something, so this can be that is or that has. But I know it's that has worsened following the pandemic because this is an action that started in the past and it has an impact on the present. So it's the present perfect. Instead of saying that has worsened, you could also say that has become worse. Both of them are interchangeable. Now here, notice this is your verb to be. They are a good fit. Now they're talking about to see someone. So to have an appointment with a therapist. So this is the someone, and the they represents the therapist. They are a good fit. If someone is a good fit, it means they are ideal for what you want or need. So for a therapist to be a good fit for me, they need to have the style of therapy that I prefer, the skills and experience that I require. They need to have the personality that I get along with, that I prefer. So it depends on many different things, but this is commonly used in a job interview. So you're reviewing resumes and you say, this person isn't a good fit. Maybe they don't have the education. Maybe they don't have the experience. Now, maybe the resume, they look like a good fit. You have the interview and then personality style isn't right. So you can say, they're not a good fit. Now the structure is to be, so that's your verb to be. Don't forget this article. And then you don't have to use good. You can use any adjective. She's a great fit, a perfect fit. She's an ideal fit. She's a terrible fit. She's a horrible fit for the management job. So for, and then a position, a role, or a situation. Let's continue. Online counseling with a human on the other end of the phone or laptop is somewhat more accessible. So remember we use this somewhat with willing. I'm somewhat willing. And remember I told you that makes it sound like more in the middle, more neutral. We had I'm extremely willing, I'm not at all willing, and I'm somewhat willing. So you can use this as a modifier for a choice like accessible. So it's extremely accessible. It's not at all accessible. It's somewhat accessible. So it's in the middle. Now notice here they just ended the clause, somewhat more accessible. Now you could continue on and use than if you wanted to provide the other side of the comparative. Online counseling is somewhat more accessible than in-person counseling. So this is the other part of the comparative. Now, if you didn't have this somewhat and you just said online counseling is more accessible, it sounds like it's a statement of fact. But if you say somewhat more accessible, it's reducing it. Let's continue. But a monthly subscription, so a monthly subscription to access online counseling with a human therapist can be in excess of $400. Remember, we verbalize this with an S. So in excess of means more than, can be more than $400. And that's why they use this modifier somewhat to make it sound less accessible, because remember that word we learned before, prohibitive, paying $400 per month for counseling would be prohibitive to many segments, groups, categories of society, of the population. For many, however, a chatbot offers an outlet for raw, honest discussion. Let's review outlet. An outlet, this represents an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to express thoughts, feelings, emotions. Now, we commonly use this if you're talking to a friend and you're telling them about how difficult things have been at work or at home, and you're just sharing your feelings in a very raw, which means unfiltered or honest, a raw, honest way, you can thank that friend or that colleague, that family member, and say, thanks for being my outlet. So my outlet, you're saying you are my opportunity to just express how I truly feel without thinking about what I'm saying. So that's my outlet. A lot of people use journaling, so writing down their thoughts, feelings, emotions, on a piece of paper or a Word document. So you can say journaling, the activity, is a great outlet, So this article is suggesting that the chatbot can be that outlet, that opportunity to express your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, which for now may be more beneficial than nothing. So again, here's a comparative. So beneficial is our adjective. More beneficial, because beneficial is a longer word. It's 3 or more syllables. So we use more beneficial than nothing, than doing nothing, or than saying nothing. So if you had the choice between keeping all your thoughts and feelings inside or talking to a chatbot may be more beneficial than nothing. If you include a verb, which is not required, but if you include it, it would be in the ing form, because then is a preposition. Chatbots, so notice here we have quotations, which means someone is saying this. Chatbots can provide a sense of anonymity. So this comes from the word anonymous, which means your name is, nobody knows your name. So if you publish a book and you don't provide your name, that would be anonymous. Or if you report some sort of wrongdoing at work, but you write a note and you don't sign the note, that's anonymous. So anonymity is a sense of nobody knows that you are the one sharing this information. And then confidentiality refers to the fact that that information will not be known outside of the conversation with the chatbot. Chatbots can provide a sense of anonymity and confidentiality, which can foster trust among individuals who may be hesitant to seek in-person help for their mental health concerns. Do you know what this verb means? So this is a verb, foster, to foster. Can is a modal. So after modal verbs, we use the base verb. So that's why you have this in the base verb, foster. There are many common synonyms. Foster is a more academic or formal sounding word. Some common synonyms are encourage trust, promote, build, develop, or support trust among individuals. Now, if they're hesitant, it means that, I don't really want to do this. I'm hesitant to do something. So you might be hesitant to speak in English, even though you know you should. And in this case, they may be hesitant to seek in-person help for their mental health concerns because it's uncomfortable to share your thoughts, feelings, and emotions in a very raw and honest way. And remember, this was a quotation. So here they're saying who said this. Noted researchers in this 2023 paper. Noted is a more formal way of simply saying said or claimed or even suggested would be other ways of saying that. Now the quotations begin again, and here is another transition word, furthermore. So I know they're going to provide an additional point or an additional reason. So if you're providing a list of reasons or a list of point, you can use furthermore instead of additionally. So furthermore sounds a little more formal, academic. Moreover is another choice that sounds more formal, academic. Casual ones are also in addition. Additionally is another great choice. So these three are the more everyday casual ones. Furthermore, moreover, are the formal ones. Furthermore, these chatbots can help reduce the stigma surrounding mental health. The stigma, this refers to disapproval or judgment by society. So it could be society as a whole, it could be your group of friends, your family, your coworkers, whatever social group it is. So it's a feeling of being judged or a feeling of shame, embarrassment because of something. Now the preposition, you can use surrounding mental health. You can also use the preposition around. So the stigma surrounding losing your job, or the stigma around losing your job, and make it easier for individuals who experience anxiety when visiting therapists. Of course, you can use and to connect two ideas. So the chatbots can do two things. It can reduce the stigma and make it easier. Now, we already use furthermore in this sentence, so you wouldn't use furthermore again here, but I want to show you, you could have two things and say chatbots can reduce the stigma, period. Furthermore, it can make it. So you could end this as a period and then start the next sentence with furthermore, but you would have to include the subject again because you need the full clause. So subject, verb, object. Furthermore, it can make it, and then the rest is the same, easier for individuals. So that's just an option where you can have two ideas. You can connect them with and, or if you want to sound more formal or academic, you can have end a sentence and then start the next sentence with a transition word. Furthermore, also, in addition, additionally. And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Chatbots are replacing therapists faster than anyone expected. While we're not short on divisive topics in 2025, there are valid reasons as to why we're turning to chatbots for emotional support and why people are also very much against it. So how willing are you to embrace this new form of therapy? With the technology developing and evolving faster than the academic community can study and publish evidence-based studies on it, there's nonetheless a growing body of expert commentary surrounding AI large language models, LLM, and their ability, or lack thereof, in replacing real human-trained psychologists. Much like the broad reasons people use chatbots, employing them as a digital therapist is also multifaceted. In-person therapy is prohibitive, often to the segments of society that need it most. A session costs between $100 and $300 US, and wait times to even see someone and hope they're a good fit can be months, something that's worsened following the pandemic. Online counseling with a human on the other end of the phone or laptop is somewhat more accessible, but a monthly subscription can be in excess of $400. For many, however, a chatbot offers an outlet for raw, honest discussion and reflection, which, for now, may be more beneficial than nothing. Chatbots can provide a sense of anonymity and confidentiality, which can foster trust among individuals who may be hesitant to seek in-person help for their mental health concerns, noted researchers in this 2023 paper. Furthermore, these chatbots can help reduce the stigma surrounding mental health and make it easier for individuals who experience anxiety when visiting therapists. Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.